What's going on, guys? Oh my Godzilla here, back on another episode of kind of our little Godzilla podcast. Super excited to have another fellow YouTuber on here, Heisenberg of his YouTube channel Luminous News. Thanks for joining us on this episode.
Hello. Oh my Godzilla. Oh, great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I had a really fun chat with your partner in crime last week, and I'm super excited to do the same with you. And so one of the things that I think we wanted to talk about early on was you were talking to me about having kind of a different memory of meeting G Forever down at the Shin Godzilla. So I'd love to hear that story from your perspective if you want to start with that.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast with you and G Forever. It was a great conversation. But one thing he did mention, it was talking about is like how we met. So it was like, I remember it slightly differently. So so we both managed to get, so what Funimation was the company that brought Shin Godzilla to the US and sort of like for a theatrical release, kind of a small theatrical release. And then they tried to promote it. They had what they were calling like a premiere in LA and a premiere in New York, but they weren't really premieres. They were press screenings. I think they were trying to pretend they were premieres, just calling them that because it sounds fancier, I think. Because at first, when I first heard about it, I was all excited. Oh, does this mean like the director and the actors are going to be there? And I was even reading up on them. I was like trying to read up, and one of my coworkers was actually originally from Japan, so I was getting his help on how to pronounce the names. And but yeah, it turned out no actors, no director from the movie. This was basically like a screening for the press. Yeah, so I had forgotten. She remembered I did bring my one of my Shin Godzilla figures because again the movie had come out in I think around in the summer of 2016 in Japan, and then it didn't get released in the US until October. So so this press screening was in October, and so with the movies out in Japan already, the toys were out in Japan. So I did succeed in buying the Bandai. What is it like? What do they call it? But the larger size, like Bandai Shin Godzilla. So I thought, okay, I'll bring that with me. It's just something fun to have and a conversation starter. Because it's like, it's sort of, we can show, it's like, here he is, folks.
Yeah.
So I was there, and actually when we finally got to the point where we were in the movie theater and at the screen, I was like getting to my seat. One guy I passed over had a Godzilla t-shirt on that looked cool. It's a t-shirt I'd seen before. It's like this mirror image. It's sort of Godzilla with a mirror image on it, kind of like a red t-shirt, and it's like Godzilla, then sort of like two Godzillas, kind of like mirrored. And it's like, oh yeah, I said, oh, that's a great shirt. And that was G Forever, but I didn't chat with him then. That we were all just getting settled in for the movie. But afterwards, Funimation had a again, part of the promotion, they had a reception afterwards with like food and drink. Though I was mostly focused on just trying to like network. I thought, oh, okay, let me try to meet some people. Maybe I can meet some other Godzilla folks. And I was just sort of going up to people at random, again, with my with my Shin Godzilla Bandai figure as a way of breaking the ice. And I met like one person there was from Funimation, but mostly I was meeting like miscellaneous people that turned out to be reporters, that they were just general reporters, not with no particular interest in Godzilla. But then finally I did see some Godzilla folks, and said, I was like, oh yeah, I'm from Godzilla fan from Massachusetts. And the one guy said, it's like, oh yeah, there's another Godzilla fan from Massachusetts here, and pointed out G Forever to me, who was so I went up and introduced myself, and it turned out he's actually basically in like the next town over from where I work. So basically I drive past him like every day from home to work. So I was like, oh, this is great. It's like very convenient. And I mentioned, it's like, he said what town he was from, and I said, oh yeah, I remember like a few years back they the public library had a little display of Godzilla toys. And he said, yeah. It's like, I used to work at the library, so those were my toys. That was my display. So that was cool. But so it worked out. So again, since he's like so nearby, we started trying to do like these reviews together. Like at first we did like, I think one of the first ones was like NECA. Well, back when both NECA and SH Monster Arts like came out with the same figure. I think that was the GMK, it might have been the GMK Godzilla, something like that. But he's like,
Okay.
he liked the, I liked the NECA more, and he liked the SH Monster Arts more. So we did like a, you know, review where we were like, you know, of compare and contrast them. And
Okay.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I think we've tried to get better. I think we've tried to get better since then, of like just trying to have better video, better audio. Try to have a little more, try to have a little more energy. And yeah, it's worked out. Oh yeah, it's worked out very well. So we got lucky that we happen to live so close to each other.
Yeah, yeah, it's a super funny coincidence. And yeah, you guys definitely have put together some really fun content. It's really, really fun to watch your channel, and super, super costly for me because you guys give me all sorts of news and then I have to go buy a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so
The
but yeah,
one
you guys definitely do a lot of fun stuff on your channel, and you guys work really well together, I think.
Yeah, the one unexpected thing that happened, I don't think Chief ever mentioned this at that Shin Godzilla New York premiere, which was a press screening. I think they did try to invite like influencers as well. It wasn't just press. And so I'm there. So they did have like a little photo area with, they had a guy in like the Godzilla costume, you know, the Halloween costume that you can buy.
Oh,
They had
okay.
a guy in a Halloween costume for like photo ops. So, and I was there in like my whole Heisenberg outfit. So I was hoping to just sort of like shoot some video of myself, like at the event to report on it. It turned out the audio, I didn't record the audio properly, so I never used that video. Uh,
Okay.
but I'm like there, I'm like sort of like trying to record myself, and also record myself with the guy in the Godzilla costume. And all of a sudden, there's a few other photographers there too. And then all of a sudden, like somebody walked in, this kid walks in, and I noticed everyone sort of like turns to the kid. Everyone's kind of looking at the kid, and like the photographers are like going up to the kid, and they're taking his picture. And so I asked, "Is like who is this person?" And it turned out it was one of the actors from Stranger Things, which in
Oh,
2000, yeah, 2016, it was like that was the hot show on Netflix, and
right.
had
Yeah.
only been out a brief time, so I had not seen it yet. I didn't have Netflix at the moment, you know. It's like I was busy, you know, making Godzilla videos, but uh, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's well, so that explains why everyone's so excited. And it was actually the actor, who's his name? It's like I think the actor's name is Finn, and he plays Mike. It's like the actor who plays
Okay, yeah,
was
yeah. And
there.
then yeah, and he's done a bunch then, yeah, and he was in like
Yeah.
the It movies and Ghostbusters, I think. And
Oh yeah. But I decided I actually but I don't think I actually took his picture, because basically I was of the attitude, well, this is a kid rather than an adult. So all the more reason not to bother him. But
yeah.
and it's like I haven't seen this show. So I don't know. So I have no you know, so it's like you know, like I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of his. So I'm not gonna like try to take his picture just because he's famous. So I just kind of I just stayed away from all that commotion. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was but yeah, that was sort of like this unexpected thing. So
Okay.
I've been in the same room with him.
That's cool. Did you ever figure out what he was doing there? Like,
Well,
is
I
he a
think
fan of Godzilla? Was he there for the screening or
yeah,
something
yeah,
else?
yeah. He was there for the screening. He was definitely there. Yeah, he was there part of the screening. My guess is that he got invited again. There's sort of an influencer. Here's someone who's famous, who's getting a lot of attention. Let's have let's invite him to the to the screening, so he'll like post about it on social media. And yeah, and so the news organizations can take his picture, like as like being at the Shin Godzilla screening.
Okay, that's cool that he was there. That's fun.
Yeah.
That did not come up in a conversation I had with G Forever, so that's cool to hear.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you gone back and watched that show that he's in, Stranger Things?
Oh, I've since seen Stranger Things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I said, yeah, yeah, and it's a great show, and he does it. Yeah, this guy does a good job. So if this were to happen, if it were to happen now, then I definitely take his photo,
Yeah,
or
I
at least
bet.
ask him. But I'd ask him first. Yeah,
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 that's still a fun little connection. You can say you got to watch a Godzilla movie with a celebrity. That's pretty
oh yeah,
that's pretty fun. So taking it back a little bit, what kind of got you into all things Godzilla? When did that kind of happen, and
yeah,
what was your introduction like?
yeah. Well, growing up, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and Ohio turns out for I don't know why, but there's actually a lot of interest in Godzilla in Ohio. For me, it was in Cleveland. on Saturday afternoons, they would show movies like, to appeal to kids. And it wasn't always a Godzilla movie, but often, more times than not, at least in my memory, it's like it was often a Godzilla movie. And again, this was back in the 70s. So it was like the Showa era ones. Like I remember they showed Destroy All Monsters, things like Destroy All Monsters and and from that around, that era, that movies
Yeah.
from the 60s. So yeah, I got to see them over and over again. So I was a big fan. So I do have memories from like being like in the first or second grade and like drawing, like being in school or whatever, and like drawing pictures of Godzilla and the different monsters like in the tanks. And that's actually how I ended up making one of my best friends at the time too. There was like another kid in my class, Jimmy, who was doing the same thing. He was drawing pictures of Godzilla, so he was also a fan. So we ended up becoming very good friends. And but yeah, I'd watch the movies there. It was actually in there would be a fun host there too. It's like in Cleveland they had, it wasn't just showing the movies. It was the Super Host show, where Super Host I think was like this newsman who they decided to dress him up in like a Superman costume, but also as a clown. So it's mostly just kind of like this Superman costume, except they didn't give him any muscles. And I think he put on a
Okay.
little clown makeup, so like they painted his nose like red, and he was the Super Host, and he was a pretty casual guy, but he would like have little comedy sketches in between, like showing the movie. And he would like people would send in kids would send in drawings of whatever, like whatever was popular at the time, like the Incredible Hulk or Godzilla drawings from like the movies he'd show. Yeah, I think I sent in a few pictures, so it showed the pictures, and people would write him letters. At one time, I did write him a letter, and he like read the letter read some of the letter there. But yeah, so I have like very fond memories of like Superhost and watching these Godzilla movies.
That's a lot of
But
fun.
oh yeah, so but I wonder today. I actually so yeah, but so yeah, once years later, when I was an adult and like I'm seeing like folks in their 20s, like that were fans. I was like, oh, I was asking people, how did you guys see the movies? I think a lot of people said that their like parents like introduced them when they were kids. Is that how it went with you?
Yeah, pretty much. I was up, funny enough, up in Massachusetts, and visiting some family, and my uncle threw a Godzilla movie on, and I kind of got hooked, and that was about it. I came home and begged my parents to take me to Toys R Us, and we found a couple of the American Bandais, and now the rest is kind of history.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's one thing I'm sorry about. I haven't had a lot of opportunities to see these movies in the theater, but I did get to see like I'm old enough. I saw Godzilla versus Megalon when on its original U.S. theatrical release, or I think it's
Oh
the
wow.
original one. So that was like around 1976. It was like released in the U.S. And so yeah, me and Jimmy went. I think we probably again we were little kids still, so I think we went to like probably like I wouldn't just be surprised if we went like on a weekday around like 6 o'clock or so. So kind of like a odd time to be going to the movie. We walk in and we were the only ones there.
Oh
Like
really?
we had the whole place to ourselves, which had never happened to me before. So it's like we're having fun. Like we kept moving from one seat to the next. It's like, oh, we can choose any seat we like.
That's
And
fun.
then, oh yeah, yeah. Then actually, once I think by the time the movie started, like two other people did wander in, but it was nice. Yeah, it was really nice to be able to see that on a screen. Of course, back then the screens were not all that. In the 70s, like movie theaters were not particularly great. That by then they'd all been like carved up into little pieces. It's like this. So it was so I'm sure it was an okay screen, maybe an okay screen with okay sound, but it's not like going to an IMAX.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be really cool if they'd take a bunch of the Godzilla, like the old Godzilla movies, and remaster them and be able to show them on a big screen really good. Because the only I saw Shin Godzilla was the first Japanese movie I saw in theaters, and then I saw
Hmm.
the old King Kong versus Godzilla, a small theater in town got Kong versus Godzilla to play kind of while Godzilla versus Kong, the new one, was on. So I was able to see both of those movies at that theater. So it was cool to see one of the older ones on a big screen. I
Oh
wish they'd
yeah,
do it. I wish they'd do kind of more throwback things and bring some of the older movies on and be able to show them on a big screen.
Yeah, it seems pretty rare still. That's one thing I'm hoping to do at G Fest. Again, I've never managed to get to G Fest, but I know on Thursday they tend to show some sort of like yeah, giant monster movies at a nearby theater. So I'd like if I go to G Fest, I want to try to go early enough that I can go to see those movies, whatever they end up being.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be
But
a lot of fun.
yeah, one thing I really like, one theatrical experience I had that was really nice was yeah, again, it's like we talked earlier about having a connection to Ohio and Ohio State University. In Ohio State University is in Columbus, Ohio, and downtown Columbus, Ohio. At least when I was there, they had this wonderful old movie theater. Like what is it? The like I think maybe called the Ohio Theater. But I think it was originally built like back in like the silent movie era for silent
Okay.
movies. But it's like it's really big. It's much. I mean, this is like big, really big, grand theater with like a balcony and ornate. But in the summers, so now it's mostly performances. It's it's like the opera will like perform there,
Okay.
but now like in summers they would have like a summer movie series. And oh, part of what's fun about it is like again it was from the silent movie area, so they actually have a built-in organ. So like from because again originally silent movies they would have someone would usually play live music, and it was like if it was small they'd play a piano, but this was a big theater, so they had like this big enormous organ built into the theater. So yeah, so you go there to they have a summer movie theater. They actually would have an organ player like play the organ before the movie would begin.
Oh,
But another nice thing about it. So this is something I recommend if you're ever in Columbus in the summer. And but yeah, so one movie they showed was the original 1933 King Kong.
oh,
And
fun.
oh yeah, and a part of what was because I saw that's something else that I think they would show that in Cleveland once a year, usually at Thanksgiving. I think that's true in other cities too. Growing up, they would show it once a year at Thanksgiving, and it was always like very fun to see. But being able to see it on a screen, but not just a screen, but basically this was the type of movie theater where it would have originally been shown. So this was the type of screen and projection that it would have originally been shown in. And what was really cool was that the special effects never looked better. Like the special effects in the original 1933 King Kong, I think look really good. Like the whole way the island looks. It's Skull Island, though I don't think it's not called Skull Island in that original movie. But like the whole look of the island, and then they'd have like birds fly by in the background, and I thought, oh, this has never looked better, and which made sense because I thought, well, this is sort of like this is how it was intended to be seen. So it
Right.
seems like that. Okay, so they had sort of like optimized the special effects to look good in this situation.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see something like that in the way it was kind of meant to be seen.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, the next thing, kind of moving on through your Godzilla fandom, when did you kind of start collecting, collecting anything? Is that kind of a newer hobby, or were you always kind of?
Yes, yeah, surprisingly late because as a kid, I don't know. It's like I think my parents, I don't think I have no memory of ever being in Toys R Us as a kid. I think my parents intentionally just kept me away from it, just to sort of like try to save on money or what have you.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I was watching the movies growing up as a kid, and then actually, well, again, getting back to my time, I was a graduate student in Columbus, Ohio, and I think one weekend I was just by chance I was driving by some mall. I think I was in part of Columbus I normally wasn't in, and driving by some mall. I think there was some sign up of like just a it's like of a like Godzilla toy convention or something like that, or I forget what they called it. So it wasn't a full convention, but what they did was it was like a mall, and inside like the walkway, they let dealers set up tables, and it was a whole bunch of like dealers, and this is in the not sometime in the 90s, like the mid 90s or so, probably the late 90s, yeah, sometime during the late 90s. And yeah, so all these Godzilla dealers had set up their tables, and they all had like these wonderful Bandai toys, but many of which I'd never seen, at least like never seen before. And yeah, they had them out on display. And I was like, oh, this looks really great. But unfortunately, like at the time, I was still a poor student. So when they said the prices, the prices. It's like, oh yeah, that's too much for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of looked at it, and I saw other people buying the stuff though. So like I'd walk by, it's like I'll walk by this table, saw this great big Bandai Godzilla. I walk by again, it's gone. It's like, well, where'd it go? It's like, oh, someone bought it. It's like, oh, okay. But then also in the mall, like the regular toy store, they had the regular Trendmasters. They had the Godzilla Trendmasters. And I was looking at those. And even there, again, I was so poor. It's like I was looking at those. It's like, oh yeah, these look good, but it's like I'm on a budget here, so I'm not sure what I should buy. And so, but one final, so I'm like in the store and they have the sound effects. I'm pushing the button, listening to the sound effects, saying, oh, gee, that's cool. It's like it would be nice if I could own this. But finally, like I think I finally noticed one that was on clearance at one point. One point I was in a store and there it was on clearance. It's like, okay, this I can afford. So I got like the 9 inch. I think it's like the 9 inch Godzilla Trendmaster, which yeah, you push, which actually is like well, as a step, it's actually motion sensitive. It's like
Oh,
yeah, it's motion sensitive where like though it doesn't work too well. Uh, that's just sort of like you sort of like move in front of it, and then that triggers the noise, and also the eyes and mouth light up, and it does like the roar, and it's really loud.
yeah. I
I
think
think it
I might.
might even have you might own it.
Oh, is it? Was it this guy? I'm not sure
Yeah,
if.
that's him. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
think he's
yeah.
got
So
the
that little
sensors
hole
and
in
the
the chest
speakers and
is the motion. Yeah, is for
yeah,
do the motion detection.
yeah. So yeah, this is a pretty fun one.
Yeah,
That's a cool one to have as your first figure. Except I don't
yeah,
know if you have. Do you still have your Trend Masters?
yeah.
I don't know if you had the mine Trend Masters have this weird problem where I can't know if you can tell, but like they just like absorb dust. I talked about this with
Hmm.
G Forever for a minute, but like I dusted these recently and like anything just finds their way to it and just like sticks to it like glue. Yeah, I don't know
Mm,
what's wrong with them. But
yeah.
I'm a couple ones like that, like the Godzilla, all like the it must be the material they make like the dorsal plates and some of the claws and stuff out of, and the wings on some of them
Yeah.
are just super like sticky, and they just attract all the dust, so mine get totally dirty.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But then like after the 90s, like in the early like 2000s or so, it's like I would still sometimes see like some Bandai like Godzilla figures for sale, like maybe $20. And like again, as I was on a bit of a budget, so I bought like one King Ghidorah from Bandai and like that, but mostly not not buying much. So finally like it was yeah 2014, yeah, when I found out the 2014 movie was coming up, and it's like, oh, okay, it's like, and I was already like starting to like do like think about doing things on YouTube. So I decided, it's like, oh, okay, here's something I can do. It's like I can like review the toys on YouTube. So it's like, so that's when I like started driving all over the state to get to every Toys R Us, to try to find all the toys, and try to find them all, and then make start reviewing them on YouTube and videos. And then that's why, and of course with the 2014 movie, backing up a bit, uh, yeah, before the 2014 movie, Breaking Bad had come out,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd also like been going to started going to conventions like a few years before, because I went to like comic book conventions back when I was a teenager in Cleveland, back when they were comic books. It was like you went through, it was like it would be in like this big hall, big ballroom of a hotel. And yeah, it's like the booths were just, all the booths set up were just like comic book dealers, like guys selling their comic books, or just the comic books on display. Nothing else, pretty much nothing else going on. No one in costume. Uh, and so yeah, I went to comic book conventions like that, but then like much later decided to like, oh, started going to conventions again, like around 2011, and a little bit some in between there. And it's like, oh yeah, by then it's like, my word, there's all this people in costumes, all this costume play or cosplay. It like was really going strong.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it'd be nice if I could go in a costume, but it's like I want to be able to. But I thought, well, I don't want to like obstruct my vision. I want to still be able to see everything, and I don't want to be too terribly uncomfortable, because mostly I want to look around and walk around a lot. And so yeah, then Breaking Bad came on, and it's like, oh, here's the like the main character is like this middle-aged middle-aged guy, wearing glasses. I thought, oh, this I can do. This I
Yeah.
can do. It's like, so yeah. So I looked up, and online I found it's like, okay, how can you assemble a Heisenberg costume? And so I found like a website that sort of like made a list of like everything that you need and like where to try to get it. And it's like, it's not all that, it's not all that tough. It's all the stuff is like, the hat and everything is like just standard, standard clothing. So so I started going to conventions as Heisenberg, and I even got the on the show, the blue meth is actually rock candy.
Yeah.
So so I bought some of the rock candy, and I had like a big bag of it that I'd carry around, and then I also had like I put some of it in the tiny little bags, where I said, oh, I can just give this out as free samples. And
Okay.
I started doing this right when the show was like peaking in popularity. Like it was still on, but it wasn't over yet, and it was like very popular. And it's like, oh man, I've never been so popular in my life. Like showing up as Heisenberg and having my like people ask for a picture, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Would you hold this? And I'd hand them my bag of like blue rock candy, and they'd get all excited, and then I'd after that take the picture, and then I'd hand them like the free sample, and they'd get even more excited. So that
Yeah,
was
that's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, that was very fun. It didn't last. It's sort of like that was the peak of popularity. By the next year, like being Heisenberg, it kind of lost its novelty at conventions, as these things do. But still, it's like I'd had the costume. So when they're making Godzilla 2014, and the actor, oh, I'm blanking out here. What's the name of the actor? Yeah,
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston is like going to be in the movie. I thought, oh, okay. Well, it's like, oh, why don't I want to get the toys. I want to review the toys on YouTube. Why don't I do it as Heisenberg? So it's like, and I can say, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm in the movie. It's like I can like jokingly say I'm in the movie, because like really Bryan Cranston's in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
But uh and yeah, so I just sort of, I was driving out, really driving like from store to store all over the state, trying to, so it's like I got to find all of them. I want to find all of them.
Right.
My wife was like, what are you doing? She's calling me up on the phone. It's like, where are you? It's like, where are you? It's like, oh, I'm driving to the toy store. It's like no, 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 what are you really doing? It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, 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 I'm driving to the toy store. Of course, then I came home with, ended up filling the whole like dining room table with toys. uh but because I finally did find them all, and it's like, okay, I'm going to review them. And if you listen to my early reviews, they're very primitive. Well, for one thing, I'm trying to be more in character. I'm trying to be more like Bryan Cranston as Heisenberg. So I'm trying to be more serious.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, like the picture. But it's like at first, and again, my attitude has always been, it's like I'm just going to do what I can. I'm going to do what I can, do what I know how to do, declare that's good enough, and just like post it.
Yeah.
So like the very first video, I didn't know how to edit yet. I didn't know how to edit video. So it's all one shot. So I had like the camera. So it's like me, okay, I want to be on camera. I want to show me, and I want to show the toy. And so I can introduce the toy, introduce myself and the toy. And then I want to like just sort of take the camera and like focus, zoom in on the toy. So I had the camera on a tripod. I like saying hello, and I'm here to review this toy. And then if you keep watching it, it's like, then you see basically I go off screen because I'm walking over to the camera, behind the camera. I'm unscrewing the camera from the tripod, and it's all in one shot. And then I like start zooming in on the toy. So yeah, it's very it's very primitive. But but I got very lucky early on that and it's like I was in the living room like filming a lot of the toys, because and I was in the living room because that's where the light was better. I had more light in the living room because I didn't
Okay.
have any lights yet. And it's like, so I was like filming one at a time. Okay, I'm going to review each of these toys and post it. And then I thought, oh well, they're all here, maybe I should do one video where I show them all at once. And so I did that too. It's like I'll just do a quick overview of all of them rather than going really in depth. And I posted that, and the YouTube algorithm smiled on me. Like the YouTube algorithm actually like it seemed to like that video and kept showing it to people. So that video was like very one of the first videos I posted, and it was actually a success. Which probably which encouraged me to keep doing it, like having this early success. But yeah, so collecting, and so it was at that point that I started like trying to figure out collecting